ignored twice by Attorney General Garland. So really inherent contempt. And if I can, I just want to explain really quick what it is. It's a mechanism that hasn't been used since the early 1920s, but it really allows the House of Representatives to pursue punitive action for people that defy our authority. And so, as you know, the House held Garland in contempt once, and within 2 days, the Department of Justice said that they were not going to prosecute. So to put it in perspective, average Americans, black, brown, whatever it is, white Americans, when you ignore subpoenas, you go to jail. Frankly, I think that Attorney General Garland is not above the law, and I have a big problem with anyone in Washington that gets special treatment because of their status and their position. You know that even with what happened with President Trump's legal cases, he actually went to court, and every time they indict him, again, I'd like to point out he does go up in the polls. But the point is that Garland intentionally defied our subpoenas, and so that was really the foundation for why I actually brought this forward. Now, you are right. We do have the votes, and in fact, today, there was actually people with family emergencies that flew out, and Democrats actually brought people back in last night. But I want to give some perspective because I heard both perspectives of the gentleman before me in regards to what's happening with the House dynamics. To be clear, there is a lot of chaos right now happening within the Democrat Party. And I actually talked to two members who are never Biden people on the Democrat side. And they said, well, we don't understand why you guys even need the tapes because all you have to do is watch the debates. So to be clear, we have a multifaceted issue here. We have people defying subpoenas, but then there's this national security aspect where I genuinely believe that if you are truly worried about the country and you're truly worried about Americans, that you have to ensure that you have people that are there that are making the correct decisions. And so that's why I'm pursuing what I'm pursuing. No one's above the law.
I can't blame you for this, except that you're a member of the party. But when a lot of Trumpers were defying subpoenas, I did not hear anybody from your party saying, hey, you shouldn't be able to do that. These people should all be prosecuted. So I see a little bit of favoritism being played here, that this is to your advantage, so you want to enforce it.
Well, what I will respond to that is there's actually people sitting in jail that were ignoring subpoenas, and that goes to my point in that no one should be above the law. If they're sitting in jail, why is Garland getting a free pass? And I also want to point out to the American people that from what I've heard, and this is directly coming from great sourcing, is that Biden actually called over and also, too, apparently had ordered Garland to send an email requiring him to say that he was not going to turn over those tapes. What I will also say is that the fact is that there seems to be a cover-up that exists going from Congress to the White House in an effort to protect Biden's cognitive ability. And that's why you're seeing so many members break from the party right now on the Democrat side.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the cover-up. Help me understand. You've got the transcript of it. People see Biden all the time. I don't understand what the purpose of the tapes were, except to take some lines that you could find and leak them for political currency, which I respect as a move, but I don't know it's the most high-minded use of congressional authority. So what is the cover-up? Everybody knows who Biden is.
So to be clear, we actually even offered to listen to the tapes in a skiff so that we could ensure that that would not happen in regards to leaking. And they still did not want us to hear the tapes. The fact is that we've had other instances with appointees from this administration either not showing Congress the full items that we are asking for. And because of that, we definitely think that there's might be something more nefarious in these tapes. And so to be clear, I'm sure you know about Watergate, but there's massive comparisons. If you're going to give us a transcript, we need to hear the audio to ensure that there hasn't been redactions made. But as you heard in the testimony that Garland gave, I believe it was to Judiciary, he actually admitted that there was redactions from that transcript. And so that's exactly why we're pursuing what we're pursuing. However, going back to a more important thing, you know, no one should be above the law, and you cannot defy subpoenas. We have people in jail that have done so. Garland should be no different.
No one should be above the law is also a concept that the Republican Party has not embraced when it comes to Donald Trump. And now the Supreme Court has helped give some weight to that proposition. But Luna, I know that you come from places with a clear heart, and I'll be watching what happens, and you're always welcome here to make the case.
Well, if I can just say one more time, too, I just hope that people are looking at when you have people that are being charged outside of a statute of limitation and have appointees from the DOJ to oversee that charging process, it's rigged. Thank you.
I understand the point, but people have to see it in context, and you're always welcome here to make the case. I mean that. And thank you for taking the opportunity.
Okay, thanks.
And I love that you call me Cuomo. So, all right, I'll talk to you soon, Representative. We'll be watching what happens. Thank you very much for being on with us tonight. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.